we are going to take a trip down memory lane and reminisce about the very first video game system, whether it be a console or a home computer, that got you well and truly on your way to becoming a gaming addict. Oh yes, that got you so involved. You know, the sort of system where, you know, you'd race home from school because you wanted to carry on from the game you'd been playing the previous night before. The one where, you know, it's bedtime. Oh, can I have just another 10 minutes? Another 10 minutes, just want to do this level. You know what I'm talking about. Now, I'm going to reminisce and take you down memory lane for my good self. And throughout, I want to hear your memories, whether it's console related, whether it's, you know, 8-bit computer, 16-bit computer, whatever it is. But drop in the comments. I want to hear your memories and your tales from this time. Oh yes. Without further ado, let's get into it. This is going to be awesome. The very first system that got me truly hooked on gaming, and there were systems prior to this, but this was the one that just did the magic for me. The one, the only Sinclair ZX Spectrum, and it's this 48K model with the rubber keys, was the one that just sunk me right in. Trust me, so many great gaming memories. And we're going to kick off with my very first memories of what games I first ever saw on this system. One of the very first games, of which there's probably 3 I remember first off, was probably Attic Attack. Let's start with Attic Attack. It was released in '83. This was by Ultimate Play the Game, who of course went on to become Rare. This company needed no introduction. They just created some absolutely stunning games on the Spectrum. But this for me was my first sort of one of the very early games I do remember on it. You were dumped in sort of a massive haunted castle and you had to find the pieces of the golden key to escape. It sounds simple until you're legging it down some corridors, dodging ghosts, mummies and whatever the green blobby thing was ever meant to be. You could play as a knight, a wizard or a serf, each with their own secret passages, which was genius at the time. The colours for this were bold, the action was fast, and as a kid it was proper edge of your seat stuff. The food pickings were hilarious too. I mean, there was roast chickens, tankards of ale, oh yes, got me hooked at a young age. They were lying around in the corridors. There was health and safety nightmare, but you know what, we just didn't care back then. Attic Attack just had that special magic that the Spectrum did so well. Simple idea, addictive gameplay, and enough difficulty in this to keep you glued to the screen, or throwing your joystick, if you were lucky enough to have one, across the room. And sticking with 1983, next up was Hunchback. My cousin had a 16K Spectrum, and I can remember the first ever time he visited, he brought it with him, and I was amazed. I was like, wow, great, you know. And yeah, he wouldn't let me play it much though. But anyway, you're Quasimodo, you're going along the castle battlements, you had to try and rescue Esmeralda. Oh yes, that beauty. It was basically a side-scrolling sort of obstacle course of pain, really. There were swinging ropes, arrows whizzing past, knights with spears, and of course that dreaded moat that swallowed you up again and again. The thing is, right, the controls were tight, but brutally unforgiving. You had to time your jumps just perfectly, and most of us didn't. It was not the easiest game. I must have seen poor old Quasimodo plummet to his doom more times than I'd like to admit, and I never did finish this game. But when you nailed that rope swing or you cleared a tricky section, felt like you're winning Olympic gold. It's just one of those games. It looked simple, and it required a monk-like patience. Of which I didn't really have it back then. And for the Spectrum owners, right, badge of honour, if you could even get halfway through without rage quitting. As I said, it's not a game I did particularly well on, but one I have very fond early memories of. And whilst we're looking at those really early games, this was from 1982. Horace Goes Skiing. We all know the Horace games, don't we? This was a game, it was just pure Spectrum madness really. Step 1, get Horace across a busy road to rent some skis. Step 2, wobble your way down the ski slope. And in step 3, Wonder why on earth you just paid 10 quid for this experience. Anyway, crossing the road, it was basically Frogger. We'd seen it before, but it was just harder and faster. I swear Horace must have been more flattened under pixel cars than he ever did ski, mate. I'll tell you honestly, I got run over so many times on this. When you finally made it to the slopes, the controls were a bit twitchy. You'd either crash into a tree or wander off the course within seconds. But despite all of that, we all just loved it. Horace Goes Skiing was a kind of Spectrum's unofficial mascot, really, old Horace, wasn't he? I mean, it was Horace and the Spiders, Horace Goes Skiing. What were the other ones? Come on, drop in the comments. And it was a classic, really. Silly, addictive, but it was unlike anything else at that time. Plus, it taught us all an important life lesson. Always look both ways before crossing the road.
Always use the green cross code, because I won't be there when you cross the road.
And now we're going to look at some Spectrum games that I've got real fondness of. Games that sort of were truly unique and original in the way that they played. Games that we hadn't seen the like of before. Not your sort of arcade style play, anything like that. But these sort of games, they just immersed you right in and were truly unique in the way they played and everything else. So let's go take a look at 3 really unique Spectrum games that I have real fondness of from back in the day. Now we're looking at 3 truly unique games for the Spectrum, you know, that just stood out, really did stand the test of time. First up is Elite. Now, don't get me wrong, everyone knows Elite from, you know, the BBC Micro days. This was released in '84. And honestly, this was just mind-blowing on the Spectrum. You weren't just playing a game, you were actually living in a universe. You would be flying your Cobra Mark III, trading goods, fighting pirates, and praying you'd survive a Thargoid attack. Do you remember those Thargoids? Oh yes, mate, they were dodgy as. The 3D wireframe graphics, though, they were just revolutionary for this game, and the first time many of us felt like proper space captains. Oh yes, forget Kirk and all them boys, mate. We were doing it ourselves at home. But let's be honest, most of us spent longer trying to dock at the space station than we did exploring the galaxy. I know I did, for one. I mean, that rotating donut, it was just evil, wasn't it? One wrong move and boom, we were back to square one. Still, Elite was a game changer. It proved that the Spectrum could deliver scale and depth far beyond the arcade style quick fixes we were so used to. It was epic, frustrating and unforgettable, really. And if you ever did reach the rank of Elite, you, my friend, was an absolute legend. Not just in the playground, but in my lifetime too. I never got near it. Now we're going back to 1982 with the one, the only Kevin Toms himself. Yes, him of Football Manager fame. He had a smiling bearded face on the cover. I mean, let's be honest, guys. How many times have you seen an actual game designer on the cover of the game itself? That's something you just didn't see, and you still don't see, do you? So well done, Kevin. A big thumbs up to you for this. Anyway, this was the game. This just turned thousands of us into armchair managers. Years before Championship Manager or Football Manager took over our lives. All text-based menus and simple match highlights, but somehow it just had us hooked for hours. You could spend hours on this. Buy, sell players, pick your team, then nervously watch those stick figure highlights play out on the pitch. Every goal was celebrated like you won the FA Cup. Every loss had really, you know, it was so good. And the best part, seeing your bargain striker score a hat-trick and feeling like Sir Alex Ferguson, or, yeah, managers of that ilk, I suppose. Anyway, of course, there was the agony of losing to a team from Division 4 after dominating possession. Proof that some things in football just never change. It was simple, it's addictive, and it was a ridiculously actually ahead of its time. Kevin Toms gave us the first taste of this managerial roller coaster. So thank you very much, Mr. Kevin Toms. You, sir, are a legend. And now we come to a 1985 game. And we come to Fairlight. This was the Spectrum just showing off, to be absolutely honest. An isometric 3D adventure. You controlled this fella here. I can't remember his name. One of you guys, can you remember that fella's name? Drop in the comments if you can. You'd wander through this sort of medieval fortress. There were puzzles, guards, and there were secrets about the place. The graphics were just gorgeous to look at. I mean, the detailed rooms, the staircases, objects that you could pick up and actually interact with. It was just immersive in a way Spectrum games rarely managed, but it was also tough as old nails, folks. The guards always seemed one step ahead of me, and the puzzles, well, let's just say you needed not just brains but patience and probably a walkthrough. And let's be honest, they didn't exist back then. You had to rely on certain magazines. There was no internet to help us. Fairlight was just one of those games. It showed your mates and proved how advanced the Spectrum could be. Bit clunky, brutally difficult, but undeniably special. This was a real showcase of what exactly the ZX Spectrum could do when pushed to the limits. And anyone who watches the OGDuffy channel will know I am a true lover of all the original arcade games. Now, back in the day when we had these early systems, we would like really hopeful that the latest arcade game that was being converted to our systems was going to be a decent conversion. Sometimes the Spectrum got it right, and sometimes it got it very wrong indeed, but that's a whole separate video all to itself. But today I'm going to give you 3 hand-picked arcade conversions where the Spectrum, for me, got it really right. There's loads out here where it's done really well, so I'll give a few honourable mentions, but these are just sort of my top 3 that I have real personal memories of. Because let's be honest, I didn't own every single Spectrum game back in the day. Let's go take a look. Let's see which 3 made my list. The first arcade game we are looking at that I remember so fondly on the Spectrum is Spy Hunter from 1983. It's a classic arcade car combat game, obviously on the Spectrum. You're driving this super secret interceptor car, blasting enemy vehicles with guns, oil slicks, you get smoke screens, and basically it was sort of James Bond sort of meets driving school with speed involved. The Spectrum version, right though, it did an incredible job squeezing the arcade action into this 48k little humble machine. You can almost hear the revving engines in your head, and let's be honest, most of us spent more time crashing into walls than taking out enemy agents. But when you nailed a perfect weapon upgrade and cleared a screen of baddies, oh, it was just pure spy joy. It was addictive, it was chaotic, and it gave every sort of 8, 10, 12-year-old a taste of international espionage. Oh yes, minus the exploding gadgets, sadly. Anyway, do you remember this? I have great memories of Spy Hunter. What was my next one that sticks out for me? Next up is Green Beret. This was a Konami arcade game back in the day, and it's quite a hard side-scrolling action game. You're a lone soldier, you're out on your own, and the mission is to infiltrate an enemy base armed with only your knife. But you could get some weapon upgrades, which, trust me, were very useful indeed. The Spectrum captured the intensity of the arcade game, I thought, surprisingly well. Climbing the ladders and dodging the bullets while stabbing the enemy soldiers, all in glorious pixelated form. It was relentless, one wrong jump and you were toast, mate. But the difficulty was part of the charm of it, really. Let's be honest, stabbing pixel soldiers never felt so satisfying. And the pixel graphics, it's just something that the Spectrum always managed to pull off really well, you know. You felt like a one-man army. Even if the Spectrum did make you squint at times with those sort of little blocky enemies. But you know what? I think the Spectrum did a really good job of this. And finally, we are looking at Chase HQ. This was Ocean's fantastic arcade to Spectrum conversion. You're a cop, you're in a turbocharged patrol car, which was probably a 944, I think, a Porsche, chasing down criminals before your timer ran out. The arcade had speed, explosions and danger at every turn, and somehow the Spectrum managed to capture that thrill. The scrolling roads, the pixelated villains, and there was plenty of crashes along the way too. It was pure adrenaline. You were smashed into the wrong wall and it was game over, yet somehow that made each successful arrest feel like winning the World Cup of law enforcement. Oh, I never did become a copper. The Spectrum couldn't match the arcade graphics, of course it couldn't, but I'll tell you what, it absolutely nailed the game and the fun and everything. Such a great arcade conversion on the Spectrum. So really well done this. This is how arcade conversions should have been done. And some honourable mentions, of course. There was sort of RoboCop. It was pixel perfect. It just looked amazing, you know. Again, was it Ocean did that? I'm sure it was. Outrun, that was a pretty decent little conversion as well. And Operation Wolf, R-Type. I could go on and on. But for every good conversion, trust me, there was plenty of bad. Next up, I'm going to reminisce about cooperative fun with me mates. I hope you're enjoying this trip down memory lane with me. Now, don't get me wrong. Those that remember the Spectrum will remember that there were some bloody good games on there. There truly was. And making this video and thinking about it, I can't remember. There's just so many that deserve a shout out. There really, really are. But you know what? I can't shout out every single game. But anyway, over to you guys. What was your first sort of memory of you know, video gaming? And was it, you know, a console or whatever? And a few of your memories before we come to some of my finer memories with my mates. But anyway, this week, the beer of the week is being dedicated to the one, the only, Mr. Rory Patton, sir. You are the honourable member of the channel that's getting a shout out this week. Thank you to all the channel members. I appreciate you all. I hope you're enjoying the extra content I'm putting out. And thank you to everybody who subscribes, likes, comments, just as important. So cheers to everybody and thank you, Rory. I hope you're well, sir. Oh, that Hobgoblin Gold is rather tasty. Cheers, Rory, everybody. Let's get on and share some memories of the ZX Spectrum and gaming times with me mates. Look, the first one here might seem a bit weird. Lotus Esprit Turbo. First up, right, it was a great little game, sort of 3D, behind the wheel, Lotus Esprit, racing across twisty sort of cityscapes and stuff. But how me and my mates would play this, we would sort of set designations on the map and we'd set ourselves timers to get there and stuff. And yeah, it was just, don't ask why, it just stuck out, and it's one of those that just done really, really well. It was an interesting game as well. I mean, you could just sort of drive around, chill out, and I like the way even your indicators would work and stuff like that, which was quite ahead of its time, really. It may look simple now, but you know what? It was bloody good fun, and we had good laugh on this with my mates. We really, really would. So a strange one. It's not actually a cooperative game or anything, but hey, to us, it was. And next up, it needs no introduction, from 1984, Skool Daze. Right. This was possibly the first game to make sort of truancy and bunking off school absolute fun, mate. You play as this guy, Eric. He's the mischievous schoolboy trying to steal your report card back without getting caught by the teachers. So how was this good? Well, me and my mates would get together and we would play this sort of together. But the good thing is you could sort of rename all the teachers and the characters. And of course, you know what's coming. Yes, we named all those characters after the staff at our own school and the school bully and all that. Yeah, we named them all, I tell you. We named them all. But anyway, this game is just full of charm. It was really simple, and the graphics and everything were just so good. You know, you could bounce things off teachers' heads. It was just chaos, really. And, you know, you had to go to 10 lessons and stuff. And let's be honest, we all had that school SWAT, didn't we? Yeah, and the one in this game was highly irritating. I can't remember what we used to call ours now. Anyway, great game. Finally, the third, which I remember cooperatively playing with me mates, has to be Renegade, Target Renegade, them games. They were just brilliant. I mean, they were, you know, Ocean again made these, I believe. Side-scrolling beat-em-ups. We were taking on the gangs in the cities, and, you know, you just going along bashing people and the rest of it. But what was good, I mean, we'd crowd around and play this on this tiny little computer. How the bloody hell we managed to do it is beyond me, but hey, we did. But the one thing with this game that really stuck out was this was as close to the Double Dragon experience we could get at home. As an arcade game, Double Dragon needs no introduction on this channel. I'm always you know, waxing lyrical about it. But to be absolutely honest, this was as close as we could get to that experience. It was just truly superb. And yeah, we absolutely loved it. It was just such a great game. And one I just thoroughly enjoyed playing with my mates. Oh, after school, we'd all gather around someone's house onto the computers. So many great memories. Hey. So they were my true, real first gaming memories of a system that truly hooked me in. And just a few sort of honourable mentions right at the end here. I've still got quite a few of the games that I owned back in the day. Horace Goes Skiing there. What were the other Horace games? Hungry Horace? I can't remember now, it's gone. But this was brilliant. Soft Aid. These were like collections that would come out, you know what I mean? And this, I think, was preloaded with, my God, it had some games on it. I mean, just look at the size of that cassette tape. I hope that's coming into focus. That was huge. That had probably about 20 games on it. And of course, it was a charity event, so it was pretty good. Classic Attic Attack. Now, Ultimate Play the Game. There's their game logo there. I'll drop it on screen, actually, even better. They went on to create some truly magical experiences that we all remember so well. Football Manager. Now, to me, that cover's iconic, because as I said when I was introducing it, how many times have you seen the game designer or developer or whatever face actually on the cover? That's the only one I can think of. If there's another, let me know in the comments. But my God, you just don't see it. A very honourable mention of this, because as you can see there, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, especially the Atari original game. But this, my God, what a great version of that game these guys produced. They should have done the arcade conversion, this company, because they did so well with that. 3D Star Strike, what a game. And finally, before I hand over to you good people, we've got to remember the blank cassettes. Of course we do. Because, hey, these C15 tapes, if you know, you know. Your mates would go and buy a game, and if you were lucky enough to know someone with a twin deck tape recorder, not only were they very popular, they would allow you to borrow your friend's game without having to borrow the physical copy of the game. Let's just say it was like a certain Sid Meier's game, Pirates. If you know, you know. Happy days indeed. Too many games for me to shout out in a single video, but a few more that really stand out were Rambo. I loved Rambo on the Spectrum. Really simple and so different to the Commodore 64 version, which was great as well. And Commando. I loved Commando, and Elite Software did Commando. A Way of the Exploding Fist. The list just goes on and on and on. Anyway, they are my memories from my early gaming system, the first sort of system that really hooked me in. So what was yours? Was it a console? Was it a 16-bit computer? Was it an 8-bit computer? Was it, you know, drop in the comments, because we're all different ages and we've all got different memories. But I want to hear some of your classic memories and the systems that got you right into gaming. That was mine. And I still love the Spectrum to this day, as I do everything else gaming. Oh, yes. I've been OGDuffy. You have been truly awesome. Thank you. And I can't wait to read all your comments about your favourite systems and everything else. And I'll see you all on the next one.